Hey, Craig. Just the two of you in here this morning? Hey, Colin. Everybody else just doesn't want to type because the euro's going too sideways. Markets aren't moving. Hey, Andrew. What do you guys have on? Anything? I put in the room, there's a little note on China headline. We used to call those red headlines. They pop up on Bloomberg. Hey, what's up, Alex? You cover dollar yen from yesterday, okay? Andrew, you close euro short. All right, that's not going anywhere. Nice. Nice, Craig. We didn't really talk about dollar yen too much yesterday. I mean, I looked at it, was like, man, this thing is just kind of sideways. Definitely starting to Donald's on a roll this morning. It's definitely looking more bearish. The fact that we got below this low. Craig, I want to walk through your short in a little bit. I like it. Are you out of that now? You flat? Okay. You know, I was thinking yesterday, I want to do a little bit more work as a team. I try the best when I'm in here to focus on the price action just because I want to do the best to save you guys money and make some money. But really, we need to be going through more trades. Like, I need to know more of what you guys are doing, how we're trading. You know, we got to have more conversations about how we're doing overall, day in, day out. It's the best way that I can help with the coaching process. Let's just do a quick top down though. I mean, stocks are under pressure, if you want to call it pressure. They just stopped going up every day. 24.15. Probably move this a little bit higher now. Wow, right in the line with the 200. Let's call this 24.20 now, bottom of the range. Back at the bands on the hourly. See what the NASDAQ looks like. Might be an okay place to buy back in. Look at that. Sold the high. NASDAQ hasn't corrected as much. I mean, it's not surprising. Hey, Rio. All right, partner. Hey, Mikey. All right. So let's start with the dollar. Dollar index still in this major long-term location. I mean, we are pretty much coming right into it now. Trump high. I mean, it's 113. So, I think we want to continue to be long-term core short. It's been raining here all the last 4 days. Long-term core short. And then we're just waiting on this intermediate term to roll over if and when it's going to. The 8's still pretty much rising. Daily cycle's kind of high. Maybe we're due for a swing trade back down. And then I would say the near term's pretty choppy. You got these two walls here. Yesterday we had one wall down, failed at halfway. Guys, yesterday we failed right at that area we were highlighting all day. Remember? I mean, we were talking about that area all morning. And so once you go up and test an area like that, that kind of negates the wall, right? So once you do that and you fail, and then you go sideways, look at all this time that went by. I don't want you guys thinking that this is still in play. This wall is still in play after you already had this go on. You know, don't jump this price action. So this is a new move at this point. Move up, pull back. Looked like it was going to go right here. And then now we're kind of in a choppy scenario. The bands are up. Now we're back down. There's another wall here. And the euro is very sideways. We have jolts at 10. Euro's probably waiting on the ECB from Thursday. You guys give me 1 second. This UK election, it doesn't seem like it's been in the news as much as, you know, French election really had everybody's attention. What time frame? Hey, Andrea, what time frame? Well, you tell me. What do you think? What would you guys say the near term is here? Where's the trend? The day trade near term trend or the micro time frame? Makes a higher high, but what does that mean? That's not a trend. Are we in a uptrend? Are we in a downtrend? Are we in a sideways range trade? All right, so Andrew's saying the 8's up. Okay. Bearish to sideways / bullish. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I actually agree with that. So this is a little bit choppier, but at the same time, don't try to overthink things. It's easy to look to the left of the chart and then start extrapolating, right? This was bullish. This red flip things bearish. Held pie. We're definitely going sideways for the intermediate term. But like Andrew said, this is up, trying to show you the 5 minute is trying to turn up, but you have the bands right here, right? So not even talking about the wall concept. This is just, look at the bands. This is a 15-minute downtrend, but you do have a 5 minute that's trying to turn up, well, without looking at it. Yeah. So you still have the bands that are down, right? So that 8, Andrew, that 8 was showing you that it's trying to move higher, which, I mean, you're above the bands. But guys, look at all this that's above the market, right? Pi, 200. And then the bands are still down, right? So you do have a higher low here on the 5 minute. It's trying to turn up. It's just not quite really there yet. And then when you want to bring in the wall concept, so that just covers the trend. We haven't even looked at the cycle. 30 minute, sluggishly going higher. 15 minute, still rising, right? So gun to my head, guys, I'd be short here. We can lean short if you guys want. So slow. Why don't we lean short a little bit? And then maybe we can add to it the 15-minute rolls over. The initial, is that stop loss? Would be above the wall or the bands? Okay, good question. So where's the risk, right? So these are good questions, Andre. You have good questions. And I'm just talking out loud. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but where, let me ask you, where would the trend change? Because that's where your risk is, guys. When most of the time when you're trying to figure out where your stop is, I mean, it can be max loss per trade, obviously, right? It's kind of the overall governing rule. But I always just, I mean, yeah, it's a good idea. Look at the walls. That's true. If you're saying, well, this is a pretty big wall, I'm willing to short it as long as we're below the wall. That's the right thinking. But I like to go a step farther and to think about what would change this picture to make it bullish. So let's think about that for a second. Let me come back to this. I want to teach a little bit, but I want to look at see if there's anything else that we can make some money on. Let me come back to that. That's a good question. Pound yen. Oh man. This is not really looking good for our core long here. I don't know if Ed, are you still with us here this morning? I think we may want to take off any core longs here, being below this low. The daily cycle cross too. I think I'm going to go to the sidelines for now. I was only small long, but this is kind of similar to what I was just about to say in the euro. You break the bands, you take out a higher low, you take out a bottoming tail. There's not a lot of reasons to be long here. I'm going to take that off. All right, so 4 hour, it's kind of do or die. There's a chance that we could just reverse all this by the end of the day. I just really don't like being below the low. Failed right into the bands. 30-minute near-term trend is down. Yeah, that profit take into the 200 was pretty critical. Straight down after that. So this is too oversold for me to want to chase it here. If you were trading London, pretty good downtrend. I'm nursing a core long here, Euro Kiwi, small position. That's out of the money. Coming into the support, 56.25. That daily cycle is not favorable either. 4 hours into that same area here. 56.25. Small little bottoming tail. Cycle's not quite there either. Let's keep an eye here, guys. There may be a chance to add again. Maybe get a little bit more aggressive. I want to see how price, kind of like we talked about yesterday, cycle back to pie. Let's see how we react here. We can take out the prior day's high. We get back above the 8 on the 4-hour. $30 still in a downtrend, cycles up, 15 minutes high. Going sideways. Let's keep an eye on that one. I mean, maybe if we get above these bands, 157, and the 15-minute cycle comes down, it could take a long. Euro yen's coming into support, 123. I'm going to cover some more of that core short. Any of you guys playing Euro yen short with me? Save this drawing. All right, let me signal this, some of this yen stuff before I forget. Euro yen, I'm short calling. Yeah, is that what you're asking? Man, that pound yen really looked like it was gonna go. Just totally got rejected by the bands. I wonder if we should lean short or short pound yen. Let's see how we close the day on dragon. Maybe be able to go a core short flip. Okay. Cable's moving, Andrea. Okay, thanks. Sold off. I wanted to get the cable next. Dollar peso, still barely hanging on. Cable daily cycle's kind of high, guys. You kind of see this wall here. Failed about halfway. Daily cycles may be rolling over, so that might set up the swing move lower. Four hours coming down, topping tail, took out this low, broke below the bands. Day trade, we were a little bit late to the party. Plug in through pi. This is a lot of red here. $15 turning down. The intermediate term range, we're kind of 129.5, 130 is top end of the range, 127 is the bottom of the range. Let's get this 5-minute cycle up. Might be a short here. I guess you could lean short if just, I don't want to chase this too much. This is just a kind of a lengthy move down already. Are any of you guys have anything on here? Cable? Let's watch this 5-minute cycle. It's a pretty good wall here. I don't want to chase it too much. I mean, you could lean short, small short, if you didn't want to miss out on it, maybe another leg down. I think we probably wait on the bounce. Definitely some yen strength this morning. Gold's bid. Treasuries are bid. Stocks are down. Some risk off. Gold back on the highs. $12.96. Old high was $12.97. Maybe take a short here if it reverses on gold. I'd like to see the 5-minute rollover. Still no bounce, dollar Swiss. Slow leak lower. Yeah, core long there. It's just trying to be really patient. Pretty good covers yesterday. Euro cable. Let's let the 4-hour cycle guys come back up. Top of the range is again closer to 87.60. Trying to get a BCI here on cable. Why don't we lean a little bit short cable, and then we actually want it to bounce up to sell into it. Let's lean a little bit short cable. As I'm leaning long ultras also. So when I'm thinking in treasuries, I sell a couple more tens up here that we covered down here. So covered into the low here, reshorted those. Need to signal that. Six, 12. All right, guys, I just got distracted in a couple positions. So I'm leaning the day trade long ultras and then core short tens, core short or core long fives. Playing like a butterfly at this point. Just different time frames. So the day trade time frame is bullish in the long end. I'm trying to work into a core short between this 216 level and 2%. Gonna have to probably be patient on that. And then fives, I'm trading around the intermediate term against my short and tens. Euros still going sideways. See if we get another move down on cable. Let me just signal these last couple things, and then Craig, I want to go over your trade, and Andrea, I'll come back to your euro comment. Second, guys. So strong. All right, maybe get this cable bounced now. $15 still down. Let this 5 minute come up more. Okay. Let's sell a little bit more cable here. Just keep it small. Again, waiting on this 5 minute to come up. But we are retracing some of this wall here. All right. All right, Andrea, sorry about that. So it just felt like we had to catch up a little bit. I think that it's bearish sideways. All right, so we were talking about where's your risk, right? So Andrea, where do you think? I'm just curious. I want to work through your guys' thinking process. Where do you think this trade would turn bullish if you were thinking about shorting it? So that's the question you want to ask: is where am I wrong, or what would the market need to do to make this turn bullish? That's a good way. That's probably the best way to think about the risk. I mean, you can always say, okay, if I short, X amount, or if I'm basically short my max position size, I know that from here, 1260 to the highs, 1275 is 15 pips. I accept that risk. I embrace that risk. Okay, that's not too much in my trading plan. I typically don't trade too much like that where I'm trying to count my P&L as to where I'm wrong. I really care more about the trend and the cycle. So where would you say we were wrong though, Andrea, on this euro? If we're day trade short already, where do you say the risk is? Okay, a clear break the bands. Okay, yeah. I mean, let's just visualize it, right? If you had this, that would look pretty bullish, right? So I agree with you. So the risk is, I mean, here's our wall. Here's the bands on the 15-minute. Here's this high right here. You broke down from this low. We really don't want the market above this area. That's from a trend perspective. I mean, this is a lot of distance. It's to day trade short. I mean, if you're playing a little bit longer time frame, I guess you could fade this all the way back to the highs. But from a day trade perspective, this is really the pivot, right? This whole area. You know what I mean? Because by the time it gets all the way back to here, you're going to have a different 5-minute trend, right? So we don't want to sit on positions just because we don't want to be wrong and pick too high of a time frame. I've done that plenty of times where it's like you don't want to be wrong on your short, so then you go to the higher time frame and you end up dragging a short too far. So this will definitely, like what you said, this will definitely look bullish if we kind of break above these highs. So that's what you want to think about. And sometimes it just as it develops, I want you guys just being aware of something and saying, you know what, this just doesn't look bearish anymore the way it's developing. Instead of trying to stick too much to an expectation. Anyway, so okay, that's the risk on euro. Craig, let's walk me through your, it was dollar yen, right? This will be good. Can you walk me through your process here and list out where you started your short? Was it a swing trade? It's from yesterday, right? Oh, look, you're already ready. I like it. Shorted at 811. Is that Eastern? Yesterday? Yesterday? What day is it? Tuesday. Up here? Right in here? 5th. What am I on? Oh, I went way back. All right. All right. Here's the 5th. Right in here. Right? All right, so this is you started this trade based on the near term, right? Because you're talking to me about the 15-minute. And then you just trailed it out, right? That's good. That's perfectly fine, guys. Sometimes you get in the money, you just let it run. If it turns into a swing trade, that's great. What you don't want to do is start a day trade, and then because you're down, you start to make excuses, you move your stop, and then it turns into a swing trade, and then it turns into a core position when that's just being way too remember we talked about rigid on our rules and flexible on our expectations. Don't start something as a day trade and let it go against you and turn into a month-long hold. That's not being rigid. But that's good. If it runs, that's different. Okay. So let me read what you have here. Let's see what's under. Let's go to the 30-minute. Okay, so you had a downtrend. I'm just going to read what you wrote. Highs in the 15, lower highs, under 30 SMA. Okay, higher time cycles were heading lower. You say the higher time cycles. Were you talking about the hourly and the 4 hour? Or are you talking about the 30-minute cycle? Okay. All right. Well, I like this trade a lot, Craig. You pulled a lot of pips out of the market here. I guess I would say though, on the day trades, guys, try not to, if you start looking at the cycles higher than 30-minute, you're starting to move into a completely different time frame, right? So it's going to be a different trend, and those cycles, it just doesn't make sense if you're trying to day trade and then you're looking at a 4 hour cycle. I mean, that could put you into a 2 or 3 day hold. So it's it's really not necessary to, even when you're day trading, to go higher than that. Now, if you're looking at the core position, that's different. I just want to make that comment. So 15-minute and 30-minute cycle. Here you are at 8 o'clock. I mean, this is clearly in a downtrend, right? So first step is identify the trend in the cycle. That's the first part of the analysis. So the trend is down. All right. So at 8 o'clock, right here, no, it's 7:45. I mean, this is good. This is all in a downtrend. You had a cycle high at 7, another cycle cross at 9:30. Okay, Andrea, thank you. All right, so now we're back halfway. This is exactly what I just drew on the chart, right? What would make this look bullish? This is just chopping around. Let's see how we react here at the 200. We don't want it to go much higher than where it is right now. This is just choppy. I don't know, this 15-minute can't make up its mind here on the euro. Okay, so Craig, what's your first action? We identify a downtrend. You had a cycle cross at 7. You started your trade at 8:11. So you're actually at the bottom of the 15-minute cycle. Were you aware of that? Right? You're at the bottom of the cycle there. Doesn't mean you can't short it. I'm just saying, like, was your size smaller? Is it afternoon trade? I don't know what you mean. I thought you said 8:11 Eastern. 8 p.m. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, so we're way over here, right? Sorry. It changes everything. Okay. So 20 military time from my perspective. Okay. So in here, okay. All right. So walk me through your actions there. And again, we don't want to let the ego say, well, I thought this and this, and the Penguins were going into overtime, or just walk me through your actions. This is a BCI right there. It's pretty interesting. So where was your entry on that? Did you short real money candle? Did you enter because of the cycle? Guys, let's take off half of this euro short. I wanted to see it fail there. I don't think we're going to get it. I'm going to stop on half of this euro. Cable, let's let cable come back up. Craig, come on, man. Walk me through. Why did you short? What's your action? Not, I thought it was going to go lower or felt like this. Just talk to me about your execution. All right, so not, okay, eyes on the 15 and it was below the 30. Um, well, let's think in terms of setup. So I want you guys starting the trades if the cycle crosses, or, I mean, you're identifying the downtrend, right? But do you have a real money candle that you shorted? Do you have a BCI? Do you have, okay. Well, like what we did here on the euro, it's okay to enter just because you want to get in the trend. But at some point we need to be candle specific, and we got to be cyclical. So we don't really have a 15-minute cross here. Same thing on cable. We just put our toe in the water to get in the trend. But we have a 15-minute that's up. So we don't have a cycle cross to short more, and we don't have anything else really yet. We don't have a sell setup, meaning a swing line setup. We don't have a bearish engulfing. Or if you have a wall concept that you're playing. So maybe just a little bit more specific, but on why you're executing. And we don't want it to be about, I think that, I thought that, I was thinking that it would do this. We want to just say, all right, well, took the low out. I'm short on this candle. Bearish engulfing BCI. Okay. So anyhow, you're short here. What would be your next, what's your next action item? Okay. Well, all right. Well, identifying what you just said there, that's not really an action item, right? So when you're short, talk to me about, I put my stop above the high of the TMS up here. That would be an action item, right? Step one, I'm short. Step two is, where's my risk? Whether it's a hard stop or a mental stop, my risk is above 1055. That's an action item, right? All right, so where was your stop? Where were you thinking that your risk was? Above, okay, above 110.50, because that's the TMS. You're identifying that those pivot lower highs, right? Okay, good. All right, so good. So this is just, we're just walking through the mental steps here, right? Okay, good. So stop above the high. Now you mentioned you break to new lows, right? So what's your next action item? So you're identifying we broke these lows here, 110.30. Okay, good. So you did cover into new lows? Greg, you did cover into new lows? No, I should have. Okay. Okay. So let's think about that for a second. You're identifying that you should have made a certain action, right? So just because it went lower, does that make the action right or wrong? Just because the outcome is what was more favorable, doesn't change the action, right? Because there's times where, guys, if you, well, let's say this: if on this particular move, this is a 30-minute chart, so at new lows, you want to be covering here. You got to take some, right? If you were swing trading this, You notice how we're in this base? Remember, I teach you guys that there's a difference between 15 minutes, got a long way to come up. There's a difference between this. A move from here to new lows, right? And a base that breaks to new low. Right? Because at this point you're oversold. Now this would only pertain to if you were swing trading this, because this is incorporating all of this time. For a day trade, you're not going to be concerned with all this. So when you went into this trade as a day trade and you break these lows, I mean, you got to be taking in here. And just because it went lower doesn't mean that was the right action, because there's going to be times, a lot of times, where you break to a new low and that's going to be the low, and you're going to come up and change direction, and you're going to wish that you had taken on lower lows, because that's a pretty big move. That's a pretty big flush, to your point, right? You know, I mean, this is a lot of red here. Boom. Right? Okay. Well, this is good. See, as we're talking through it, Andrea, what do you have on? Taking profit on something? Oh, you're talking about the trade, maybe. So as we're talking through it, okay, as we're talking through this, you're realizing, Craig, that okay, well, I did shift my time frame. So I don't mean, you just, to me, it's a little bit too loosey-goosey when you start saying, well, instead of I'm in a day trade, if I'm staring at the 5-minute chart, you know, I would rather you say, look, the 5-minute chart is 8 bars down into a new low. I'm going to take some here, and then I'm going to move to the trailing stop, and I'll trail this thing as long as it wants to run. If it wants to run till September, I don't care. But as long as it keeps in line with my lower highs, right? As long as it's staying below my wherever my trailing stop is. I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? There's definitely some you should be taking here on this chart, especially after this drop, right? But that's good. All right, what was your next item then? You said you moved to a trailing stop. How did you do your trailing stop? Yeah, I mean, no, that's good. You're working on letting the winners run. That's really important. But we can't let that turn into greed, right? Letting your winners run doesn't mean after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bar drop. Look how extended you are from 30, how extended you are from the 200. That the probability is there's a good chance that you can bounce on that from that type of a fall. So you got to take on those, right? The majority of the time that you just have to take there. And then move the rest. You don't have to take it all, but then move your rest to the trailing stop. If you don't take any there, that's actually more of a form of greed. Yeah, you want to let your winners run, but that's actually being pretty greedy if you think about it. I mean, I've done the same thing. So I'd rather you take some there, and then where was your trailing stop? Which trailing step method did you use? And if you move to a higher time frame for a trailing stop, that's okay because you're in the money here. You've had a nice move. But just talk to me about how you set that trailing stop. Trailing stop method. I went to bed. Okay, 15-minute. So you're telling me that you use the pivot, or this is kind of a this is a little bit of a BCI here. If you move to the higher time frame, so you're saying the 15-minute. All right. So you said you use the 15-minute. Are you going bar by bar? Because if you will go bar by bar, you're stopped out or you're trailed out in this bounce. All right, so let's review just different trailing stop methods. May get a lower high here. So I don't like this 15-minute cycle. I don't want to sell anymore. Just I don't like this 15-minute cycle. Euro's all the way back to the top here. This is just a range trade. Down, up, down, up. 30-minute cycle is high on the euro. 15 minutes pretty high. I still have a piece on that I'm short. It was good. The right action was to stop there, to take some off or all of it off. That was the right action. So even though it was a losing outcome, guys, doesn't mean you can have losing outcomes and have the right action. There's such thing as good stops, right? So from here, guys, on the euro, we don't want it above this high. And then if and when we get a 15-minute that crosses, I may short this one more time to see if we can get a little bit back. We're on the wrong side of this 15-minute cycle on both of these. It's not ready yet. Okay, so to review the trailing stop, guys, this is good for everybody. My least favorite trailing stop method is moving average stop because it gets dinged in and out too much. Why did I lose my pen? So the moving average stop will work well when you're in a power trend. I think Apple comes to mind actually on the daily chart. And like if you're trailing the 8 here, you could use a a close below the 8 and you're out. But you see, guys, how it'll wiggle through the 8, come right back up. It's a tougher. It's a kind of a, I don't know what the right word is. It's kind of just elementary. But anyway, the example of the stop would be I'm long, I'm trailing the 8. It breaks the 8 right there, closes below it, you're out. That's my least favorite trailing method. All right. We have the best trailing method that it's going to get you the most is the pivot stop method. Is that the one that you use, Craig? So you're short well, it breaks to new lows in the intermediate term. This is all bearish power trend, below pi, the 200, the bands, 30, everything is just down. Okay, so use a pivot. Good. Okay, good. So what we're identifying, right? This is oversold. Not surprising you get a bounce. Then the pivot gets created when you move away from it, right? So at that point, when you move away from it here, you know that this is your lower high. So after you profit take, one of your action items should be did you move your stop? I took profit on the initial push. I took profit on lower lows. Then you should be listing out, talking to me about your stop. I moved my stop down to break even. Or my trailing stop down to break even. I do kind of want you guys sitting through the first pullback because usually you're going to have this first pullback and then it's the secondary move that's bigger. So you shouldn't be moving your stop until you've had the first pullback. That creates your lower high. Then you move your stop down. Right? Your original stop was here. Here's your first move. Here's a BCI. Right? Here's your first bounce. Then the secondary move. So you could talk to me about moving your pivot to here. Right? And then if you go to bed, I mean, you just got to put that hard stop in. Right? And then just for the sake of doing this, here you have another lower high, right? So you move your stop down again. And you could still be in this trade on the short side. I mean, you break to new lows, these should be profit taking points though, right? But good trade, Craig. Good stuff. So we could tighten up, guys, of how we list out though a little bit, right? I want you more specific. Think in terms of, I mean, you should be writing these numbers, you know, analysis. You should be writing this down. You talk to me about the trend, blah, 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 the cycle, blah, 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 blah. And then boom, go into your executions. So number 1 was right here. Maybe number 2 is here and add. First initial push to lower lows, 3. 4 is, where's my risk? where's your risk should really be probably number 2, right? 2 or 3, right? 4, another drop into lower lows, or BCI, I added 4, newer lower lows. Remember we talked about BCI? There's usually more than the first candle after a BCI. I don't want you taking profit on for the most part, because it's the second one. There's usually more after that. 5, moved my, or move my stop to break even. Number 6, right? Got a bounce, took out the low, swing line set up, I added 7, moved to new lows, 8, took profit, moved my stop down to the pivot lower high, 9. That's listing out, right? Then you're identifying every action item. And then along the way, it's not, well, I don't know. I got hungry and just felt like the market. I've never had this big of a down move. I haven't made this much money in a while. I took profit. No. You're just letting the model execute, right? But that's a good trade. You're flat though there, right? Right, Craig, now? Are you flat? Does everybody understand the listing out? That's how I want you guys doing it. You can mark it on the chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, and then write it out in your trading journal or put it on the screen, what each number represents. Okay. All right, good. All right, so we're kind of bleeding a little bit this morning. These are smaller positions because we kind of knew that this is just, I knew this euro was just going to be sloppy. It's just, that's just how it's been trading the last few days. Cable, we thought we might be early. Now here we're getting to bearish engulfing. Bearish engulfing on the 15-minute. All right, let's add to this cable short, guys. All right, this is a swing line setup on the 5-minute. Bounce to a lower high. I'm going to sell a bigger chunk now too. We don't have a 15-minute cross, but you're in trend and you have a 5-minute sell set up. So I'm not going to dink around. All right, so sold a bigger chunk there on cable. And then let's see if we can get a 15-minute cycle to help us out. It's only about halfway up. Right? You guys want to focus on the red line. It's 47 reading. Euro cycle still rising. Choppy markets are always the toughest to trade directionally because something will start to roll over and look like it's trending and then it comes right back up. But this was the right thing to do to stop out on some above this high. $15 pips later. Andrea, what's the question? Cable? Are you, I mean, are you asking about the size? No, I got heavier on this last setup. 30–50% of your max position size. No, so heavier. Does that make sense? Do you know why? Just because we have the cell set up. So here was toe in the water, so we didn't miss more on the downside. This was a cell setup, and then I was aware that we didn't have a 15-minute cross, but you don't have to have the 15-minute cross because we're in trend here. But I want to be aware of it, right? That I might still be early. And then guys, let's bid below the market to cover some, okay? Like 82, 80, high 70s. I'm gonna sell another small, I'm gonna put this euro short back on now. My risk is above the high, 15 minutes back to the top of the cycle. It might be rolling over here. So I'm gonna try to chip away at this euro. And what I mean by chip away is just kind of selling smaller. It's nothing aggressive, you know, just because you have a losing trade doesn't mean that you start getting more aggressive. That's how you're gonna dig yourself a hole in a day. I've done it lots of times. Chipping away, when I say chipping away, I just mean like, you know, we had a couple lots on, took half off. I'm going to put that back out short and I'm going to try to work the 1 minute. You know, let's say your max position size is $1 million. You sell another 100,000 here. And then what you're going to try to do is just work this 1 minute cycle where you know, if you short some here, try to cover some, you bounce, reshort. So I'm going to kind of just trade 100,000 or 200,000 around to try to just chip away at my loss, my stop loss from earlier. So I'm not trying to make it all back on the next trade. I mean, this is just a choppy overall price action anyway. But there's some good edge now that we have a lower high here and the 15-minute cycle's high. So I'm just going to try to chip away at my earlier loss. And if we get above this high, then, you know, that something's changed. I don't want to chase a long above this high because you have these highs. But this is just a choppy chart, so let's see if we can make some money on the 1 minute. Now here's the sell setup on the 5 minute. The experience no follow through. That's unfortunate. is what it is. 15 minutes, still not ready to roll over, apparently. So from here on this cable, we care about these highs, these bands right here and above this high. If we get above this high, I'm going to take off the lot that we put on here. I'll stop on that lot and I'll wait and see what happens here. If the market were to come up above this high, I take my risk off that I added here to play defense. And it comes up here and then it gives me a topping tail. I get right back short. But if I stop here on this risk and the market screams, I'll be glad that I took my risk off when I play defense. It's trying to, Andrew. It's trying to, buddy. I agree. It's trying to. Okay, Andrew, good job. Jolson 5. Jolts matter. It used to never matter, but since Yellen, she likes jolts. She likes to keep an eye on that. We need this jolts to give the market a jolt, huh? This price action's been a little sluggish. Comes the long bond. Thanks, Andrea. Sorry about that. Guys, I was saying on cable, this is good that we're getting, let's cover some cable here. Sorry, I was on mute. Let's cover some cable here. It's just been kind of sluggish. We're getting the 15-minute to cross, all right? That's good. Let's see if we can move down for the next hour. But it has been pretty sluggish, so I want you to cover some here. Instead of, it's 10:30 almost. We just gotta try to take what we can get. Are you guys making a little bit of money on cable versus what we lost on the euro? And then we're going to cover some euro if we get back towards here, this 1260 area, and then sell the next bounce. What I was saying before, I think I was on mute, was the euro. You see how the bands are turned up on the 5-minute? So that's showing you we can have the right action. This is good, guys. I covered some cable here. You can have the right action, right? We care about right action. We can have the right action and have the wrong, a losing result, but that's just part of trading. So the bands were all negative here. They turned up right here. This was the right place to take some risk off, stop. So we want to be covering if we get another move down into here, and we'll see what happens. This trade is pretty choppy. Are you guys making a little bit of money on cable here? You see how that sell setup worked? Short, risk above the high. You never got above that high, and then boom. Now we have the 15-minute cycled back down. Ooh, euro. I was just gonna say to you guys, we could bid below the market. Would have probably got filled maybe in front of 60 there. I'm gonna buy back half of what I'm short, guys, on euro. We might get a higher low here. Just gonna have to keep chipping away at this one. 15-minute cycle on Euro is still down. This is just a choppy chart. Good covers on cable. Just trying to work with the little bit of movement we've had this week. I mean, sold the high. Euro yesterday didn't even move. We might need to trade some of these bigger pips. This cover on Euro Yen. Now, guys, it's a pretty good wall on Euro Yen here. We're back at the 30-minute cycle is pretty high. I don't typically like trading through lunch, but there's some edge here to be short. Euro Yen if you want. Intermediate term, good spot to cover. Maybe we go back to 124.30 the next couple days. Oh, we didn't look at the Aussie today. What's it doing? It's back up towards pi. This daily cycle still coming up. It's about halfway up. It's an okay place to maybe short a little bit. Covered the pretty much the dead ass low. Oh yeah, we had that last night, right? That's a good point, Andrew. I think they have GDP tonight. It's probably, guys, we're probably just going to be a little bit slow until ECB for the currency markets. Covered really well down here. I'm going to reshort a piece on the Aussie that we covered on the low. down here. I like this topping tail on the 4 hour too. This is kind of tough, guys. I wish it was trending more. Just nothing we can really do about it. Guys, I gotta be at the airport here a little bit, so I'm not going anywhere. I gotta pick my girlfriend up, but did you guys cover any on this euro down here into the lows, this 1260 area? Did you guys get some back here, or I don't know if you guys are still short this one? You did? All right. We can reshort. Well, let's look at the 15-minute cycle. That's cross. Let's reshort a piece. And again, we don't want the market above this high, but we can trade this 1 minute around, keep trying to chip away at this thing. Just keep it small. When you're chipping away, just keep it small. You don't try to, I already said that. And then on cable here, guys, as long as this trend still stays intact, above these, below these highs here in the bands, okay? That's the risk. That's our trailing pivot, right? It's a 6 already. So I'm still down on the day. The chalk this morning session up is a losing morning. Let's see if we can gain some ground into the afternoon. 30-minute cycle still coming up on cable. They have to chip away on this one too. I'm gonna sell another piece, guys, here on sterling. Covered the lows pretty good. Just a small piece. All right, guys. Well, choppy session. Try to update you on the room. Is there anything else you guys want to look at this morning? Craig, you had a nice trade. Good job again. Good job walking me through it. We'll keep working, guys, on our listing out. Good question, Andrew. Okay. Well, for one, I mean, I like to see how we close, right? Closer to the US close. I don't think I'm going to get long. It's more of a question if I want to get short, core short. I think that's what you're asking, right? One second. So daily cycles turning down. If we close below this low or near 4 o'clock, if you're below 44, I'm gonna lean core short. We could easily be selling into the low. And if that's the case, I mean, to get back long, I don't know. It depends. Like if we go short and then we get a bull 180, I don't think I'll flip back long. But anyway, I'm just gonna lean small short to maybe make up for this last bit that we gave up on the down move. I mean, made a little bit here to here on the bounce, gave some up. So if we close below 50, essentially that was the low here, 47.50. I'll put a small piece on short, core short, and see if we just fall into the 200. If it ends up being the low, so be it. We get a bullish engulfing, and it turns around. It would be plenty of opportunity to get more aggressive on the long side. But that's probably signaling us the direction might be a little bit lower. Dollar yen's kind of looking the same way. That might have a little bit more to fall here to test these lows at 108. Does that make sense? Okay, Andrea, I like that. I like how you said if. I like that. If the swing line set up on the 15-minute, perfect. Good. Right? Because we don't know. Our expectations, we want flexible. Who knows what we're going to get, right? Anything can happen. That's the driving mentality we want to have. Anything can happen. But I like that. The cycle's there. It's trying to cross. You could lean a little bit short now and then I like that. Okay. All right, guys, good stuff. Stick with some of these trades. Maybe we can earn a little back before the close. Okay, Andrea, sounds good. Well, write it down in your journal and then journal it on the chart. Why don't you send me that trade after you're done with it? That'll be good to review. You guys can send me your trades. Definitely happy to look at them. That's kind of how I know where your thinking is while you're trading. Okay, guys, good stuff. Wish we had a little bit more better price action, but unfortunately, I think we're just waiting on the ECB. So, but, oh yeah, Dave, thank you. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so tomorrow, guys, is the webinar. I think everybody needs to be there. I mean, I would call it mandatory because it's in the best interest of everybody. I know some of you might not be able to attend, but pretty much everybody that's here in the room, I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be. I want you guys. I want to introduce you to that that firm, and I mean, we got to start trading from like a professional from an institutional side. Paying full retail just doesn't make any sense. But it should be good. They're a professional group. I don't have any more details on that. Ritas, I don't know if you're in the room here. Do you have anything else you want to add to that? I think they're pretty much going to run the show. I think there's a separate link in the webinar, kind of like we do the webinars. I think that's going to be the format. I don't know. I got to kind of figure that out. But 9 Eastern, yeah. If something changes, we'll let you guys know. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be good. Okay, guys, you good? All right. Enjoy the rest of your trading day. And can't believe how much it's raining here. All right, guys. I'll talk to you a little bit later. You're welcome, Rio.